Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Dennis Wu. Thank you for joining us. In Taiwan's Taipei, Tzu Chi volunteers tend to the victims of a tragic fire, which claimed 3 lives and injured 2 people last Saturday. At the Third World Buddhist Forum held in Hong Kong last week, the Tzu Chi Foundation spokesperson He Risheng outlined Tzu Chi's mission and practice on Master Zeng Yan's behalf. And residents of a community in southern Taiwan's Tainan learned to use elevators to maintain their friendships after moving into high rises. At 4 p.m. on April 28th, a freak fire occurred around the rear of Taipei Main Station in Taiwan, resulting in 3 deaths and 2 injuries. A lit cigarette butt carelessly thrown on a pile of flammables was said to be the cause of the accident. The tightly packed shops in the commercial area allowed the fire to spread quickly, and the narrow alleys made it impossible for fire engines to reach and contain the blaze, which finally died down around midnight. The very next day, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived on scene, bringing emergency cash and emotional support for the 12 affected families.
Family members of the departed break down and weep upon seeing Tzu Chi volunteers and hearing their comforting words. On the second day after the fire, a 4th grader returns to collect the belongings of her deceased mother. Next to her is the aunt of a Vietnamese working in the area who escaped the fire.
The volunteer aunties and uncles have helped us a lot. We're so lucky to have them around.
Tzu Chi volunteers helped the Vietnamese worker Phan Wenbing, who was displaced by the fire, find a house.
He suffered smoke inhalation and was hospitalized in Mackay. When we went to see him this morning, he was already discharged from the hospital. We also helped him find a house because he doesn't have a place to stay tonight.
The blaze spiraled out of control due to many reasons. The alley, less than 3 meters wide, obstructed the entry of fire engines. The awnings of the shops on the ground floor, all connected to one another, also allowed the fire to spread rapidly. Many commercial districts in Taiwan are built this way, such as Wufenpu Wholesale Garment Markets in Songshan and the Shiling Night Market. Fire prevention in these areas needs to be revised, and the public must also be adequately educated to prevent a similar tragedy in the future.
The Tzu Chi Philippines office plans on holding a large Buddha Day ceremony, accompanied by a large-scale aid distribution for 5,000 families in need. To get ready, not only did volunteers pledge to go meatless for 108 days, they also personally visited each of the 5,008 recipient families to better understand their needs. In the Philippines, Tzu Chi is planning on carrying out a large-scale distribution come Buddha Day, and thus volunteers set out to visit 5,000 families who will be receiving the supplies. The local volunteers are familiar with their neighborhoods. Only through personal home visits do they understand the plight of others. 36-year-old Maria is a dialysis patient, and her monthly treatment is half of her husband's salary.
We need to be very careful with our money. Often we need to borrow from our relatives.
Ophelia has 6 children to care for. Her husband is a rickshaw driver who makes 200 pesos a day. Their roof leaks, and they don't have a front door. Worse, they don't have money to buy food.
We don't have much choice in choosing what we want to eat, for rice is already a luxury to us.
The visitations help the volunteers gain a deeper understanding of compassion. They also vow to eat vegetarian for 108 days in honor of Buddha Day. Yolanda is a single mom with 7 children to care for. She can only spend 100 pesos a day on food. To help, her relatives bring her their homegrown produce, which makes for a healthy and nutritious meal for Yolanda's family.
Before the Veggie Passport program began, we had already switched to eating vegetarian, for it is a better choice.
Pamela used to cook fish at every meal. Now she's cooking sweet potato as a substitute.
No one can guarantee what we put into our stomach is safe, so I encourage my family to eat vegetables. I have purchased them myself from the market.
For the volunteers, it is not about getting ready for a one-day celebration, but adopting a better way of living that will benefit them for their whole life. Every year, the second Sunday of May is when Tzu Chi celebrates Buddha's birthday, Mother's Day, as well as the anniversary of the foundation. Since 2007, volunteers in the northern district of Taiwan have been holding the celebration at Taipei's Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall. Last weekend, the director of the Memorial Hall visited Hualien with a group of staff to sign a memorandum of cooperation with Tzu Chi.
Tzu Chi Foundation has been holding its Buddha Day ceremony in Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall on the second Sunday of May for the past 5 years. This year, Director Wu Zhusheng, along with his staff, arrived in Hualien to sign a memorandum of cooperation with Tzu Chi.
To be able to celebrate Mother's Day, the birth of the Buddha, as well as the anniversary of Tzu Chi Foundation, on the second Sunday of May at Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, is indeed a great honor for us.
Accompanied by Tzu Chi volunteers, the group of delegates also visited the Hualien Jinsi Hall to gain a deeper understanding of the organization and its work around the globe.
是要带动一个人在这个时候要记得有这样的大觉者来到人间，启发我们人要从自己的内心净化。所以每年一度的这个时候，是期待的有启发人心、净化人心的机会。
At the annual Buddha Day celebration, volunteers hope to inspire more people to show gratitude towards their parents and those around them. Through signing the memorandum, Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall and Tzu Chi hope to work together to bring a positive force to society.
The World Buddhist Forum was recently held in Hong Kong from April 26th to 27th. Among the representatives from 60 countries were Tzu Chi spokesperson He Zhisheng and religious director Xie Weiyang, who came as representatives of Master Zeng Yan and the Tzu Chi Foundation.
佛教的发展带来广泛而深远的影响，让我们
Harmonious World Common Vow was the scheme of this year's World Buddhist Forum. Altogether, Buddhist leaders and scholars from over 60 countries were in Hong Kong to discuss Buddhism and world peace. Along with Buddhist luminaries from China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, over 1,000 monks, nuns, and lay people came together to honor the Buddha. The Secretary General of the UN also delivered his respects and praised the role of Buddhism in bringing peace and beauty to the world. Also in attendance was Tzu Chi Foundation Religious Director Xie Weiyang and spokesperson He Zhisheng, who delivered speeches on Master Zeng Yan's behalf, outlining Tzu Chi's mission and practice to the audience.
Those walking the road of Tzu Chi use the four boundless minds as they work among the people of society, bringing help wherever they go, while also transforming themselves in the process.
The World Buddhist Forum began in 2005. At this year's forum, scholars and religious leaders discuss how to better actualize Buddhism in practice and how to work together in doing so. Participants also stated their hope that Buddhist wisdom could continue to spread its peaceful influence among the hearts of the world's citizens. Chunting community in Fujian's Fuling City is a densely populated area. A new Tzu Chi recycling point recently opened here, thanks to Qiu Shaoning and his wife Su Hualian, who offered their backyard as a location. At the first get-together organized by volunteers, Over 100 community residents took part.
各位师兄师姐，大家晚上好。
This is the first tea party at the newly established Ziji Recycling Point in Chunting community of Fujian's Fuding City. More than 120 residents from the densely populated community are encouraged to bring their recyclables here.
Won't you please come join us in doing recycling work? Please bring your recyclables here.
The venue is provided by Su Hualian and her husband, who run a noodle stand together. They believe recycling will help better their community.
Since I run a noodle stand, I don't have time to leave my post. I have to make a living and cannot leave my work unattended. But it's wonderful that I can do recycling work right at home to help. Thank you.
The husband and wife had participated in Ziji events before and vowed to take action. Their neighbors welcomed the establishment of the recycling point as well.
They're all very happy and grateful as well. They all say this is wonderful.
Under the starry sky, a simple projector helps educate the residents, young and old, about environmental conservation.
You have to shop reasonably and don't spend money freely. I suddenly remembered that my children should think like this too. I need to start teaching them while they are young.
The new recycling point also helps bring the community closer together. Staying in Fuding, our next story, we meet Lin Ya-Cao, who was paralyzed from the neck down due to a fall, but found hope when Ziji volunteers helped arrange a doctor to see him. Now every week, Lin receives a therapy session with a doctor from Fuding Hospital, which has helped him make improvements in his range of movements. Volunteers hope that their efforts will help the injured man sit up by himself one day.
A fall from the stairs paralyzed Lin Ya-Cao from the neck down. Getting daily treatment is impossible as Lin lives in a village on the mountain, some 14 minutes drive to the city.
Patients like him can make great improvements if they can undergo physical therapy every day, but he lives too far and there's no ways he can travel every day.
Dr. You Xiaowen from Fuding Hospital's rehabilitation department decided to help Lin when he found out about his case.
The doctor is really busy and only has 1.5 days off. She has elders and children at home to take care of, but she said she will help no matter what, and she has inspired me to offer my services despite any difficulties I might face.
Dr. You and the volunteers make weekly trips to see bedridden Lin and have helped him make improvements to his range of motion.
I don't know what to say. Ziji has done so much for me. I'm so thankful to you.
Volunteers also prepared a surprise for Lin's wife. Lin's house had no water and washing usually takes place outside. Today, a faucet and a sink have been installed for Mrs. Lin, which will make housework easier now. Handrails have also been put up along the staircase to protect the couple's young child, giving the family peace of mind.
Many patients and their families are eternally grateful to the nurses who look after them 24 hours a day. Over the weekend, Taipei Ziji Hospital held an event for patients and staff. The patients joined in to express their gratitude towards their nurses.
Together, medical staff and Ziji volunteers sing the song Happy Face. For the patients to have the chance to smile again, all the credit goes to the hardworking nurses.
The nurses take care of us even when we're being emotional.
I feel embarrassed when the nurse wants to give me a rub down. She says it's all right, you can't move right now. All you need is to have the courage to live.
Seeing the hard work the nurses go through, the patients are very grateful. To the nurses, the patients' smiles and gestures are their biggest encouragement.
Every day I'm very happy because I have the chance to help others. Just like the master says, patients have the most beautiful smiles, and that's what keeps us going.
To safeguard lives, the nurses are very important. It is also their duty to care for patients. Next time you see them, remember to give them a thumbs up.
As we've been finding out over the past few days, the invention of the elevator helped create the tall blocks that dominate our city skylines. In high-rise residential buildings, people living on top of each other can feel isolated. But in one tower block community in Tainan, Taiwan, the elevator has helped bring neighbors closer together. The Changrong community was built to replace 10 old military dependence villages. Once the veterans got used to using the elevator, they quickly rediscovered their community spirit.
A lot of people say the elevator stimulated urban development, but distanced the relationship between people. However, we're going somewhere now where things are different.
They're making dumplings on the 6th floor, and the elderly neighbors above and below are all here. In Mrs. Cao's kitchen, the host says she could start a 1,000-year-old club. To make it easier for her neighbors to visit, she never locks the door.
In the veterans village, we never locked the door and visitors to my home would let themselves in. I'd only close it at night. We didn't have any bad people. I was the bad guy.
Whether in the military dependence village or a high-rise apartment block, the community spirit is the same. Thankfully, the elevator makes people separated by several floors feel like next-door neighbors.
The best thing about this tower is that it kept the old veterans village people together. We know in military dependence villages, community spirit is very strong, which perhaps comes from the revolutionary or the army spirit, or the mothers who help each other.
Our neighborhood head's house was back-to-back with ours for 50 years. They helped bring up my 3 children. Now her mother lives on the 6th floor, and the neighborhood head lives on the 10th floor, and we live on the 8th floor. Although we're high up, it's easy to take the elevator.
The new Changrong community in Tainan is now home to 10 veterans villages, and the flower beds are now vegetable patches. The high-rise apartments are a close-knit community.
We hold a lot of interesting activities. Like 3 years ago, we held this marriage anniversary ceremony for all the couples who had been married for 25 years or more.
At Chinese New Year, our community holds a joint worship. We invite lion dancers to perform and give them red envelopes.
The neighborhood head says at first, many of the elderly residents struggled to adapt to life in the new community. They felt isolated and were afraid of taking the elevator alone, so she formed a volunteer team to take seniors on the elevator and set up an activity center.
The volunteers worked very hard to help the seniors to get out of the house and renew their feelings that in this community they could be happier.
我姓关，叫关福兴，我是四德二村。我是王志波，也是来自四川村。
水杯是哪里人？
广东。
我姓曹，他就想
我也是巴斯坦村的。
这是我一来到社区里边。
As soon as I moved to this community since 2006, I've been volunteering until now. We act and dance together. I'm ill now and can't do it, so they're waiting for me to get better.
The surroundings may be different, but the community spirit is the same. The residents are more than neighbours, but a big, happy family.
当竹篱笆里面的老眷村摇身一变成为现在的新社区。
Despite moving from friendly rows of houses to towering 14-floor blocks, the concrete jungle has not buried community ties. On the contrary, it has created new spaces for interaction and social activities. The success of the Changrong community points to the need to put people at the center of city planning.
创造一个更适合人跟人之间互动的、具有人情味的空间。
In our next story, we go to Kedah, which is located in northwest Malaysia, to meet a senior couple who make a living by farming and recycling. Since the two seniors both have rheumatism, they didn't have the extra energy to clean their house. Thankfully, Tzu Chi volunteers recruited local people to assist them. After a day of hard work, the volunteers cleared out a total of 3 truckloads of garbage and recyclables.
Today, Tzu Chi volunteers are cleaning up a senior couple's house. Just in the morning, they have already cleared out a massive amount of garbage and recyclables. Behind the successful cleanup was good communication between the volunteers and the residents.
We came several times before after many visits. They felt our sincerity and finally agreed to let us clean their house.
Tzu Chi volunteers encouraged neighbors to help out. Today, 30 volunteers are participating in the event, and one volunteer even brought her whole family.
Today I came with my husband and 4 children. I want them to know how lucky they are.
Using her camera, Tzu Chi volunteer Xu Shouping's daughter captures the volunteer's action. Seeing the good work her mother is doing reminds Yiwen of her departed grandfather.
If my grandfather was still alive, I would tell him I love him.
Working hand in hand, the Tzu Chi volunteers and the young helpers vow to aid others in need.
Returning to Hong Kong after 2 years of hard work, Tzu Chi's new liaison office in the new territories, Kim Sui Wei, has finally opened, allowing volunteers to better care for residents of a city plagued by social issues such as high unemployment, suicides, domestic violence, and solitary seniors. We attend the inauguration ceremony at the end of today's program. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.